G.I. Joe Classified might be one of the greatest toy lines ever made, and definitely one of the great toy lines of our current era. I think it's one of the best lines of all time. It wasn't always one of the best lines for all time, though. No, I will not. I will say it wasn't always. It started a little rocky, and here I'm going through and going to rank every single year of G.I. Joe Classified and tell you what I think is the worst and what is the best. This is every year of G.I. Joe Classified ranked. I ranked just about everything in G.I. Joe. Anything I can think of, I'm ranking it. Okay, so I figured it just makes sense to go here and rank all of the years of G.I. Joe Classified. And I'm also going through and ranking each year individual, each figure individually. You can check out one of those videos right here or here. And but so let's talk about the worst to the best. And the worst year of G.I. Joe Classified is the first year of G.I. Joe Classified. And of course, you know, what makes it so bad is, and it's not all bad. So like, I'm not going to just sit here and shit on the work they do. Because obviously, like, a toy line grows, it's going to get better as it goes. But it was some rough start. And, you know, what I think made this first year so bad is they were holding to this, like, sci-fi aesthetic. They were trying to change the aesthetic of G.I. Joe. They were trying to upgrade it for today. And it felt like they made some weird choices in thinking of what would work today. I felt like they wanted to make it for a younger audience or something, so they model it all after a sort of video game aesthetic from the game Operation Blackout, which nobody plays, nobody cares about. That like hampered it, and now so you have like these great characters, you're bringing them in, and they get this odd sci-fi gear aesthetic that looks like a video game, looks like a Fortnite character, and doesn't look like G.I. Joe. And it does ruin a lot of the characters. And for me, it's just like I was like not even bothering with a good percentage of the first run. But also to say, in this first year, they had a couple of gems. And so right off the bat, I was suckered in and I had to buy. The moment they came out with a Prophet Director Destro, though, that was the selling point. I had to buy that. And that hooked me, and then I started buying more. The Snake Eyes is fantastic. But then you get shit like Disco, you know, Roadblock, and you got, you know... It also felt like they were trying to go with a young aesthetic and making, like, the characters younger. Like, that would matter to any... I don't understand the thought there, but it's like, you get Duke, and he looks like 20, and he's supposed to be commanding, like, a whole legion of guys, half of them in their 40s. It's just not gonna work. And then you got even Roadblock looked really young to me, and he's never read as a young man. He's always read as a man, and is, you know, very youngest he could possibly be would be like late 30s, right? He just seems more weathered than a guy as young as that. So they made a lot of mistakes, and everybody complained, and then they learned, which was great that they learned, and they did change, and they started to give us something that looked more like the aesthetic of what we liked. Again, though, there's some real gems like Regal Cobra Commander. The Snake Eyes is a beautiful, it's the best Snake Eyes I think they've come out with, maybe. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. By the way, let me know what you think in the comments below. I always like talking to you in the comments, and you know, so let me know, what do you think I got wrong, what do you think I got right? Call me an asshole, you know, whatever you want. Okay, next in line we have 2022, and 2022 had an absolute amazing array of figures. And there's so many figures in 2022 had so many moments that were just started to blow up. It really made me start to see what it could be. I mean, Serpentor and the Air Chariot. This thing is so incredible. It's such a masterpiece toy. It's got like all these great features. It's got you know, little fangs that pop down from the mouth. Somebody told me that. I didn't even know it until recently. A little machine gun that pops out of the mouth. And the detail on the Serpentor figure is incredible. The box was gorgeous. This is the same year Dr. Mindbender came out. We got Crocmaster and Fiona, which is, you know, one of the best things ever Spirit Iron Knife. So to me, this was just like a year of just iconic character after iconic character with a couple of really just big, great figures. So next in line we have 2024. Now 2024. Now there's no bad. So like the normal ranking, we're going like in the worst. We're saying this stuff sucks, and the front we get to the good stuff and everything. I don't think there's any bad year. I think even the first year had some gems, although that is probably the closest we had to a bad year. But so it's all good and positive. I just think that there's some years that are better than others, and here's my justification. 2024 had so many great figures, but there was something about 2024 where I felt like a lot of times I would see something and go, oh yeah, that's pretty good. And I think you want, like, all right, for me there's the range of reaction I have to seeing one of the classifieds, and you see a render or something, and you're ready to you want to know what's going to look like. You wait for this figure, right? For me it's like, okay, you got on the very bottom end of the spectrum, you go, oh, they screwed that one up, that sucks, and like that would be like Falcon, right? The Falcon figure, the bad figure. Okay, and next you go, oh, that's kind of what I wanted, but there's something a little off. It doesn't like make me go, yeah, right? Then you get to, that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly it. And then my favorite is you go, oh, they really took this thing and they completely blew it up and made it something better. So for me, 2024 was a year in which there was a lot of the ones where I felt like, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. I don't know. Well, question. So much of it is great. I think something like the retro series, all the retro, retro Scarlet, retro Duke, retro Recondo. I think the Raptor was awesome. I think the Iron Grenadier is absolute perfection, and there's some blow it out of the water figures. Like, to me, the ones that were revelations for me were Nemesis Immortal. The Storm Shadow is 2. The Torch. These are all great figures. They kind of nailed it there, and I think I just felt like I left the year being like very like loving what they were doing, amazed at what they're doing, and also like in a weird way, just a little disappointed in a couple of things. So again, not a vote, not a thumbs down, but just to saying, it had this like missing piece. Okay, next in line, 2021, and I know I was putting it real high. I think it's real high, and it suffers from having a lot less. There's a lot less figures in 2021 than there are in the other lines, and there's some bad figures in 2021. So it doesn't like blow you away. Granted, like I think like 2024, it doesn't blow you away the way 2024 does with 45 figures, or 2023 with just a colossal amount, a ridiculous amount of figures. But the things that they did in this year, when they were good, are amongst the best things they've ever done. So, and this was sort of the year where I think it starts to hit its stride. We start to see, this is where I got really excited. And I think they produced their best figure that they've ever produced is Major Blood, which, spoiler alert, I talk about ranking the best classified figures of all time in this video here, and Major Blood is number 1. I just think everything about this figure, the head sculpt, the loadout, the design that recalls the original pretty perfectly, making no need for a retro, but does upgrade him, gives him a better robotic arm, gives him, but just that face, man. It's all about that face, and that is the best face sculpt they've ever had. It's also the same year they got Zartan, both Zartans, and that Zartan figure is a masterpiece. One of the best things about that figure is if you look at the back of the figure, it comes with a little withered hand and a little snake head. And I heard Lenny talk about this on a full episode of the Full Force podcast. The snake head is to remind him that he is no one's servant. So it's supposed to represent Cobra Commander. He keeps a head of a snake on him to say, I, Zartan, am owned by no one. So that to me, just brilliant storytelling with an action figure. And that figures, again, the face sculpts this year. The face sculpts are so good. It's also the year we got the Battle Android Trooper. It's also the year we got a proper Roadblock finally, and we got Snake Eyes and Timber in their best incarnation. So overall, a great year. Now again, it's not a perfect year because it also has all of the Snake Eyes Origins figures in it, which no one wants. I mean, I did get the Scarlet just because we were in such a lack of a good Scarlet. I had to buy it, and I bought the Storm Shadow because I love Andrew Koji, and I liked the idea of having a Storm Shadow head for the other Storm Shadow body. So I like Andrew Koji. So I did buy those two figures, but like an Akiko figure, no, I don't want an Akiko figure. Like Akiko's the dumbest character in like any movie I've ever seen. It's like, if you watch the Snake Eyes movie, Snake Eyes screws Akiko over in every way. She should chop his head off immediately, and she doesn't. The whole movie, she just like does it because she's all thirsty for him. I think I talked about that in my review of all the movies. You can check it out right here. But no, I'm not buying a figure. The figure's okay. I wouldn't buy that figure because of how stupid she is in the movie. Nope. Okay, next in line we have 2023. 2023 is like an amazing year for Classified. I think it's the year in which it really became a phenomenon, and they produced so many figures. I think there was something about the stalling of getting the figures out meant that there was like a backlog, so it really was almost like 2 years worth of figures. So we got like just an absolute crazy amount of figures in 2023, and some of my favorite figures of all time. It's a mixed bag because there's just so much in 2023 that obviously some of it is going to be not that good. There's like a million repaints, a million, all kinds of Python Patrol and Tiger Force things, and there's some misses there too. But where they hit was in bringing in the Dreadnoks finally. We got Buzzer, we got Ripper, and what I really loved about this year, what makes it one of my favorite years, is the deep cuts. This was the year where they started giving us weird shit. They gave us the Mole Rats, they gave us Shooter, they gave us Agent Helix, Vipra. They're doing deep cuts from random figures, and so for me that was really exciting for me to get characters not only that I knew I wanted, and then they made some figures that were just absolutely blow it out of the water, just crazy version. I think that Tripwire made them cool, and they're so inventive this year. It's also the year that we got the Hiss Tank. So and I think that Hiss Tank is of the HasLabs is my favorite. So for me, the 2023 is just about the greatest year of G.I. Joe Classified, except we got one more, and next we have 2025, our year. Now, granted, it's only July, but I do think that at this point we've probably seen everything that we're going to get in 2025. Tell me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. But if we get a few more figures, it's not going to be that many because, right now I'm looking at my Hasbro Pulse thing and it's telling me I'm not getting anything till September. So I imagine anything they announce soon is probably going to be, not coming out until 2026. Could be wrong, and maybe I'll amend this list, but as of right now, this is where it sits. But I do think we know enough about 2025 to talk about it. And I just want to say I've been absolutely blown away by 2025. The figures that I have gotten, I think they're reinventing the line right now. I think they're doing the most innovative things they've ever done. I think they've seen a change in the industry, and they've listened to that change. And that change is we want customized figures. We want to be able to make them our own. What I've noticed is they're taking this attitude of like, we see you guys customizing, we see you guys doing the photography, let us help you out. And they're building that into the way they make the toys. So that's why you see something like the new Budo figure is completely customizable. You could get 3 figures out of that. The slice and dice figure comes with enough costuming to make 3 or 4 ninjas. For me, I'm going to get a couple of blue ninja sets, and I'm just going to take the extras. I'm going to make slice and dice exactly the way they always were, and I'm going to take those extras, and I'm going to make myself 2, 3, maybe 4 ninjas out of just the extras from that set, maybe from the Budo set. So they're kind of understanding that. I think like another thing, the Darklon figure came with that second head with a long tongue, and that to me, for me, that immediately said that's not a second Darklon head. That's a new Destro relative. That's his, second cousin, his uncle, or whatever. And I'm gonna put that on a figure. I put it on an Iron Grenadier, and that's his. I'm making his evil uncle. Okay, so I don't know. I haven't named him yet. I don't know. Let me come up with a name, right? And then, of course, now we've gotten vehicles like the Snake armor that is just a complete and crazy, massively weird take on the Snake armor. We've got the claw. There's a lot of world building happening. They're doing really innovative things with the figures. I mean, like dial tone. Never been excited about dial tone, but man, that is the coolest dial tone I could ever imagine. So I think that that we are currently in the greatest year of classified. I think that they've learned all their lessons from the various years. They're listening to us for the most part, except for one thing, which is the availability of their shit. Like if half the time everything sells out, so maybe something about that. But so I think right now they made it. This is the best year of classified ever, and I can't imagine I'm going to feel worse about it after the San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to get more. I mean, this is a year we got a Snake armor, a freaking polar bear, slice and dice. Darklon, again, that's my take. The greatest year of classified. That's my order. What do you think I got wrong? Tell me in the comments below. What was your favorite year? What's your least favorite year? And, what would make the line the best thing you could possibly imagine? And like I said, I'm going through year by year. So I just ranked everything in 2024. You can check that out right here. And thanks.